The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. Come with me on a visual journey into the depths of human nature. If you're a visual learner, or you don't have an extra 30 hours to read this book in its entirety right now, then you've come to the right video. We'll discuss issues such as your type of gender projection, time spirits, aggression, cults, and much more. I have gained a lot from reading this book, and hope that after this recap, you will be inspired to buy the book to deepen your knowledge and master these laws. Let's get started. These primordial forces, there are 18 of them. I call these primordial forces human nature, and they actually govern your behavior and the behavior of other people. You don't know who you are. You walk around in your world, and you're like a somnambulist. You assume that you have an identity, an opinion, an image of yourself, which is actually somewhat false. There is something else going on inside of you. Law 10. The law of envy. Beware of fragile egos. Every time my friend succeeds, I die a little. Gore Vidal. Envy is the most tricky and unpredictable of all human emotions. To decipher envy, you must become a master of human nature. You need to be able to distinguish between passive and active envy before you can understand its nuances. We all suffer from envy sometimes, when we unconsciously observe the people around us and feel that they may have more in life than we do. The need to compare can motivate some of us to succeed. Signs of envy. It's hard to spot the subtle signs of envy, but if you pay attention, you can spot them. Micro-expressions. Most often, envy is associated with the eyes. The first impression is often the most accurate, so you should pay more attention to it. An envious person may give you a look of disdain and hostility in passing. Sometimes, this look is only noticeable by accident, but if you notice such looks during your first meeting with someone, and they are repeated more than once, be careful, because a dangerous envious person may appear in your life. Schopenhauer's method for inducing envy. Tell the suspicious envious person some good news about yourself, a promotion, a new exciting romance. You will notice a very quick expression of disappointment. Their tone of voice when they congratulate you will give away some tension and strain. Also, tell them about some failure of yours and notice an uncontrollable micro-expression of joy at your pain, what is commonly called schadenfreude. Poisonous praise. Beware of people who give you confusing and paradoxical praise. They will find ways to praise you, but will mix praise with sarcasm and inconsiderate remarks that are designed to make you feel uncomfortable and make you doubt your abilities. Talking behind your back, gossip, is often a cover for envy, a way to vent frustration by spreading malicious rumors and stories. If you hear about a negative story being told about you, it has enough impact to raise your awareness. A sign of active envy can be the fact that your friend feels the need to vent their pent-up hostility to a third party rather than keeping it to themselves. Pull. If people are jealous of you, the people closest to you who know all your secrets and weaknesses are often in the best position to act on that jealousy. Envious people often use friendship and intimacy as the best way to hurt the people they envy. Types of envious people. Here are 5 common types of envious people, how they disguise themselves and how they attack. The leveler. Equalizers are always looking for injustice and unfairness in this world. Despite their ability to put others down, they don't take jokes about themselves lightly. Their goal is to bring everyone down to their level of mediocrity. Equalizers cannot identify or appreciate differences in someone. Be wary of these people, especially at work. These people will try to make you feel guilty about your desire to succeed in order to cover up their own ambitions for success. Levelers are people who want to put you down when they see you rise above them. The narcissistic slacker. People today deservedly feel that they are entitled to success and a good life, but they realize that they need to sacrifice their time and work hard. Narcissistic slackers believe that they are entitled to success and the best things in life. These people are plagued by narcissism and lack confidence in their ability to achieve what they want. Be wary of those who prefer to hold on to their positions through charisma rather than through hard work to achieve things. Status crazy. People are very sensitive to their rank and position in social groups. For some people, however, status is more than a way to measure social position. It is the most important factor in determining how valuable they feel they are. Status crazies will ask about your income, whether you own your home, and what neighborhood you live in. Usually, these types demonstrate their status in the opposite direction by portraying themselves as monk-like, but in reality, they secretly aspire to luxuries they cannot afford. When you're around this type of envious person, try to hide or at least downplay anything that might trigger envy around these types. Clingy. These types are drawn to those who are successful or powerful, not out of admiration, but out of envy. They will do whatever it takes to become useful. They don't have a goal of their own, but want a share of the attention and success that the high achievers get. They hate the fact that this person gets more than they do. Insecure master. For some people, a high position increases their insecurities. They fear subordinates who may have more talent than them with an envious look. They may fire people for strange reasons or discredit your outstanding projects. Be on the lookout for signs of insecurity or envy among those above you. Triggers of envy. While some personality types are more prone to envy than others, you should be aware that certain situations can trigger envy in anyone. The elderly and people whose professions are in decline tend to have fragile egos and easily feel envious of others. When a woman achieves high levels of success, other women and men feel inferior, leading to jealousy and hostility instead of gratitude. To ward off envy, it becomes even more important for successful women to play the humble card. The best way to deal with an attack of envy is to control your emotions. As a result of social media, envy is more common today than ever. We all have a low level of envy that can be intensified when we read something or see something that makes us feel insecure. Law 11, the law of grandiosity. Know your limits. The gods are ruthless to those who fly too high on the wings of grandiosity, and they will make you pay the price. Throughout history, humans have had a deep need to feel important. We get a little bit of success, and we let it get to our heads. We feel better than others. We exaggerate our successes and take all the credit. We diminish any role that luck or the contribution of others may have played. As soon as the perception of our greatness and brilliance differs too much from reality, we become grandiose. Pay attention to signs of excessive grandiosity in others and in yourself. Grandiosity has become much more prominent today due to the following factors. The number of people who were coddled as children is greater than ever. More and more people show little or no respect for authority or experts. Social media amplifies grandiosity. We allow the attention of others to inflate our egos. And social media provides us with almost unlimited opportunities to expand our presence and create the illusion that we can attract thousands or even millions of enthusiastic followers to join us. More than anything else, it is social media that spreads the virus of grandiosity. The grandiose leader. People with a high level of grandiosity can reach positions of power if they also have some talent and assertive energy. A grandiose leader distorts reality to fit their perception of greatness. Here are 6 common illusions that great leaders like to create. Greatness is my destiny. Of course, great leaders portray themselves as destined for greatness. The stories they tell about their childhood and youth demonstrate their uniqueness, as if fate had chosen them. I am an ordinary person. Public figures should present themselves to the public as representatives of the average citizen. The trick of a grandiose leader is to emphasize his cultural tastes rather than the class in which he grew up. I will be your savior. In times of crisis and trouble, these types come to power. These individuals will be the ones to save people from the difficulties they face. They must make big but vague promises to do so. Messages should be simple to understand but stir emotions. When followers become part of a cult, they are doubly fascinated and ready to forgive any shortcomings of the leader. I can rewrite the rules. People have a secret desire to get rid of the existing conditions and rules in every industry and be empowered by following only their intuitions. Secretly, we are fascinated by and want to believe grandiose leaders when they claim to have such powers. Everything I touch turns to gold. In order to create a legend that they have never failed, those with grandiose tendencies exaggerate their successes. If there were downsides or setbacks in their careers, it was always other people's fault. I am invulnerable. A grandiose leader loves to take risks, but this courage is often reckless and poorly managed. In essence, their decisions are not driven by rational considerations, but by the need for fame and attention, and reality will eventually catch up with them. Practical grandiosity. Grandiosity is a form of primal energy that we all possess. Here are 5 basic principles that are essential to achieving high levels of fulfillment. Be honest with yourself about your grandiose desires. You have to be honest with yourself and recognize that we all want to feel important and noticed by others. Focus your energy. Avoid scattered thinking and jumping from one idea to another. Don't try to solve too many problems at once and divide your goals into smaller steps. Your goals should be achievable within a few months, not years. Keep in touch with reality. Let your imagination run free. But don't expect your ideas to be perfect. You can create something practical, powerful, and realistic by listening to criticism and maintaining a constant dialogue between your imagination and reality. Feedback. Challenge yourself according to your abilities. Constantly look for challenges just above your current skill level. Doing projects below or at the level of your ability will make you get bored quickly and you will lose concentration. Don't hold back your great energy. Think of your energy as a wild animal that needs to run free from time to time, or it will go crazy from restlessness. Try learning a new skill in a different field or starting a business that you once thought was unattainable or distracting. Law 12, the law of gender rigidity. Return to the masculine or feminine in you. Don't be afraid to express the more sensitive or ambitious sides of your character. These repressed parts, masculinity and femininity, of you are longing to come out. We all have a mixture of masculine and feminine qualities that are determined by our genetics, as well as the influence of a parent of the opposite sex. But to conform to the expected gender role, we tend to suppress some of these qualities, and we lose important dimensions of our character. You need to look inside yourself and discover those masculine or feminine traits that are suppressed and underdeveloped. The psychologist Carl Jung defines these different dimensions of our character as: the anima is the unconscious feminine part of a man, and the animus is the unconscious masculine part of a woman. When we fall in love, we become victims of emotions that we cannot control. We make decisions about partners that we cannot rationalize. Our bad choices of partners often repeat themselves, as if we are guided by some demon in the depths of our souls. Of course, relationships fall apart due to misunderstandings and miscommunications on both sides, and without knowing the reasons for the breakup, we go through the same process with the next person. Gender projection. Types. The variations in gender projection are endless, but here are 6 of the most common types. As we look at these projections, try to recognize any tendency toward one of these forms of projection in yourself. Also, watch out for the ways people project their desires and fantasies onto you. The devilish romantic. A woman who usually prefers a man who is older and more successful, and who can shower her with attention and gifts. In order to get his attention, she decides to seduce him. Over time, however, she realizes that his masculine, powerful, and romantic qualities do not match her expectations. The attention she receives is insufficient, or does not last long. She is powerless to change him, and he will not change, so he leaves her. The woman in this scenario is trapped because of the attention her father gave her in her early childhood. She sets out to get that attention back and the power that goes with it. To get the attention they crave, they must constantly flirt and be charming. The unattainable woman of perfection. A man who thinks he has found the perfect woman. Although he hasn't had many encounters with this woman, he can imagine all kinds of positive encounters with her in the future. Despite his best efforts, he quickly becomes disillusioned. Her character is not what he thought it was. She has deceived him. He then moves on to projecting his fantasy onto the next woman. Often men who are prone to this projection grew up without the support of a mother. A mother of this type may have expected her son to give her the attention and support she lacked from her husband. Because of this reversed role, a boy who becomes a man feels an emptiness inside and a need to fill the attention he did not receive as a child. Beloved rebel. a woman who is attracted to men who despise authority. This man, unlike the devilish romantic, is usually young and unsuccessful. In addition, he is usually outside her usual circle of friends. Despite the fact that the relationship breaks down, the fantasy remains intact. Women with this projection often had a distant and strict father who was strong and patriarchal. As a girl, she dreamed of being independent and assertive, but was forced to follow her father's orders and play the role of an obedient daughter. Spoiled woman, a man who is attracted to the opposite of what he once was, kind, obedient, and reliable. This type of man often had strong maternal figures in his childhood. On a subconscious level, they are drawn to women who are imperfect, bad, or from other cultures and/or social classes. His goal is to save her, but over time he realizes that she is not what he expected. These men have a passive and masochistic anima, and they are often used as pawns by these women. Superior man, a woman who is attracted to a taller man. His confidence and strength radiate through him. He may be a successful businessman or professor. Among women, this type of projection is very common and is driven by feelings of inferiority. Unable to develop her own confidence or strength, she tends to look for these traits in men and exaggerate their appearance in her imagination. Often she is attracted to men who are attracted to younger women, whom they can dominate, the scenario of a professor seducing a student. Usually, these men are not as smart or brilliant as she imagines, so the woman either remains disappointed or stuck with her low self-esteem and submits to his manipulations. She must develop true self-confidence to be able to assess the value and character of the men she meets before being misled. The woman who adores him, a man who is looking for a woman who will adore him. His life is hard, but he is ambitious and persistent. His life seems to be missing something. A woman comes along who is warm, attentive, and attractive to him. When he pursues certain types of women, he subtly positions them to play the role of mother so that they can support, adore, and boost his ego. This male projection usually stems from his relationship with his mother, who adored him and showered him with attention. She endowed the boy, and he became dependent on this kind of attention. He seeks and expects the same kind of attention from the women he meets. This man needs to see the pattern of this relationship throughout his life. He needs to be able to take care of himself. Write in the comments below if you could relate to any of these types of projection. The original man-woman. When we were children, our sense of self was quite fluid. However, during our youth, we needed to establish a social self that was cohesive and allowed us to fit in. To do so, our free spirit had to be tautened and constricted. To experience and present a more consistent self, we had to suppress our masculine or feminine aspects. If you're interested in finding a better balance, stop the video now and see how masculine and feminine traits differ from each other. Don't play the expected gender role, but create one that suits you. Law 13, the law of purpose. Proceed with a sense of purpose. He who has a reason to live can endure almost any how. Friedrich Nietzsche. Unlike animals, who can use their instincts to avoid danger, humans must rely on their own judgment. As long as we follow our instincts from moment to moment, we will wander aimlessly, leading us to a dead end. By developing a sense of purpose, discovering our calling in life, and using this knowledge to guide our decisions, we avoid this fate. We gain a deeper understanding of ourselves, our tastes and preferences. When we lack purpose, we become more and more insecure. When we have a sense of purpose, we are less likely to suffer from depression. It's best to avoid hiring or working with people who are motivated by false purpose, as their unproductive energy will tend to drag you down. If you surround yourself with people who have a strong sense of purpose, they will lift you up. Operating with a high sense of purpose is a force multiplier. Many aspects of your character are channeled into that purpose, giving you more sustained energy. Strategies for developing a high sense of purpose. When developing a sense of purpose, you will face many challenges. Others may distract you from finding your true direction by instilling doubt in your heart. You can overcome these obstacles by using the following 5 strategies. Discover your calling in life. Often, the first signs of your true calling can be found in the earliest years of your life. Think about moments in your life when you felt natural and free to perform certain tasks or activities, as if you were running with the wind at your back. When you are pursuing your goal, some people will criticize you, some may be helpful, but others may just be jealous. Take their negative thoughts and judgments about you as motivation and fuel for your goal. Hanging out with people who have a strong sense of purpose will allow you to absorb their focused energy. Create a ladder of descending goals. If you set long-term goals, you will gain incredible clarity and determination. However, if you look at all the steps required to achieve them from your current position, they are likely to be anxiety-inducing. If you want to manage such anxiety, you should have a ladder of smaller goals that extends from the present to the future. Finally, devote uninterrupted time to your work. Find states of flow. Focus on the work, not on recognition or reward. The fake meta trap. As you know, we are all aware of our insignificance in a universe with billions of others. To feel connected to something bigger than ourselves, we need to feel bigger than ourselves. However, it is human nature for many people to seek meaning and a sense of transcendence on the cheapest and easiest terms. Throughout history, without a true goal, people have been attracted to 5 common types of false goals. The pursuit of pleasure. We often think of work as a boring necessity of life. Ultimately, we are motivated by avoiding pain and finding the most possible pleasure outside of work. Our desire for pleasure takes many different forms, such as sexual activity, recreational stimulants, and entertainment. When we act with a sense of purpose, we realize the importance of setting boundaries for ourselves, rather than overstimulating our senses. Causes and cults. As human beings, we have a deep need to believe in something, and with the lack of common beliefs, cults fill this void. Groups whose followers have vague goals should be viewed with caution, as the group is probably just about venting emotions. Money and success. A person's desire for money and status often motivates and focuses them. Even so, many of the wealthiest people realize that money and success will naturally come to you if you focus on your goals and maintain a high sense of purpose. Attention. As a way to feel more important, people have always strived for fame and attention. However, this false purpose has been greatly democratized by social media. By developing a strong sense of purpose and creating projects that are naturally appealing, we will have a much better chance of gaining attention. Cynicism. A man would rather have emptiness as a goal than to be empty of purpose. Friedrich Nietzsche. Cynicism, the belief that existence is meaningless, has the consequence of leading to emptiness as a goal. Politics, pandemics, and old beliefs all contribute to this type of false purpose that is now gaining popularity. Law 14. The law of conformity. Resist group reduction. When people are free to do whatever they want, they tend to imitate each other. Eric Goffer. Social personality is the other person we become when we work in groups of people. It is a side of our character that we are rarely even aware of. In a group, we unconsciously imitate what others say and do. There is no positive or negative side to this social force. It is simply an aspect of our human nature. The individual effect. The desire to fit in, to feel part of a group, we tend to change our appearance or adopt its ideas, beliefs, and values. The need to perform. We become actors in the group, controlling what we say and do so that other team members accept us as loyal team members. Emotional contagion. We experience the contagion of emotions through the group. A group can make you act in ways you might not otherwise do if you were alone. Overconfidence. In a group, we tend to make immediate decisions and stand by them. This gives us a sense of confidence that makes us more open to taking risks. You should never give up your ability to doubt, reflect, or consider other options that differ from the group. The larger the group and the longer the culture is established over time, the more likely it is to control you, not the other way around. Group dynamics. You should examine the following dynamics in the groups to which you belong. Group culture. Groups carry certain cultural dynamics, from countries with long traditions all the way down to a company or even an office. The ideal state will always be the center of the group's culture and spirit. Group rules and codes. All groups experience the disturbing effects of disorder and anarchy. Therefore, standard rules and how to behave quickly emerge. These are not written down, but are assumed by all group members. A group court. In any chimpanzee colony, you will see an alpha male and other chimps adapting their behavior with him by imitating, mimicking, and trying to strengthen their bonds with him. Essentially, it's a pre-human version of court or social dynamics. Despite the differences in appearance, the behavior and strategies of courtiers remain very similar. Group enemy. In the groups you belong to, you will almost certainly find some sort of enemy or villain to fight, whether human or otherwise. Group factions. Once a group gets big enough, individuals start forming factions. A faction left unchecked can become so powerful that it takes control of the leaders. By creating an enthusiastic and unifying environment within the group, factions become less desirable, which strengthens the entire group. Court and courtiers. In any group dynamic, there will be power struggles. There will be some form of group court, with an alpha leader at the top and subordinate leaders that people try to get close to. Understanding the dynamics of the court is important. Being able to identify types of courtiers, such as the intriger, who appears loyal to the group but secretly accumulates power, the mixer, who hides his envy to cause conflict, the sentinel, who uses his position to control the flow of information and isolate the leader. Real group. Here are 5 strategies if you want to create healthy group dynamics. Establish a collective sense of purpose. You must capture and channel that social force that makes people belong and fit in. This cannot be a vague goal, it must be clearly articulated and communicated. Assemble the right team of lieutenants. Your fear of redelegating power will be your biggest obstacle. Developing a team of lieutenants with the skills you lack should be the very first thing you do. Allow ideas and information to flow freely. Communication is the lifeblood of any group. Encourage open discussion to build trust among members. Infect the group with productive emotions. You should exude a sense of determination that permeates the group. In the event that obstacles are encountered, you are the one who keeps moving forward and solving problems. Create a battle-tested group. When you face a crisis, you'll want to find out how tough the person is from within. Test the people on your team with some relatively challenging tasks and shorter deadlines than usual, and see how they react under pressure. Law 15. The Law of Impermanence. Make them want to follow you. While leadership styles change over time, one thing remains the same. People are always ambivalent about those in authority. Watch the news to see how easily leaders can lose the trust of their followers and how their reputations are shaped by their latest success or failure. Credibility is the delicate art of creating the appearance of power, legitimacy, and fairness, while getting people to identify you as a leader who is on their side. Strategies for establishing authority. Having authority means that people voluntarily follow you. They listen to your advice and follow what you say. In your efforts to overcome people's natural ambivalence and resistance, you must constantly look for ways to mobilize their willpower. These strategies are designed to do just that. Use them all. Authenticity. Find your style of authority. The authority you create should flow naturally from your character and specific strengths. Think about certain authority archetypes from our culture. One of the archetypes will work best for you. A visionary is someone who breaks the norm. Think Picasso. A healer is someone who can bring people together. A teacher is someone who can initiate action and teach people to learn from their mistakes. Focus outward. Attitude. People are naturally selfish, spending most of their time focusing on their emotions, their struggles, and their fantasies. Focus on how you can serve others. Become a good listener and see your leadership position as a responsibility, not a privilege. Vision. Develop your third eye. People caught up in the moment tend to exaggerate, panic, and see only a limited part of the situation in front of them. Develop your long-term vision and don't get caught up in everyday dramas or minor events. Tone. Lead from the front. As a leader, you need to show everyone that you work as hard, if not harder, than they do. Setting the right tone is essential. To gain your approval, members will want to rise to your level. Mix conflicting emotions. Aura. People tend to be overly predictable. For the sake of fitting in and feeling part of the group, they adopt a persona that they find pleasing and aligned with the group. As a leader, it is important to create an aura of mystery. Mixing signals and demonstrating qualities that seem contradictory makes people think about you and stop before trying to categorize you. Never seem to take, always give. The action of taking something from someone that they assumed they owned, whether it be time, rights, or money, can create a sense of insecurity and call into question your credibility and all of your accomplishments. Always be seen as giving, not taking, from the group. Rejuvenate your authority. Adaptability. New generations will inevitably become immune to your charm and aura. Therefore, your leadership style must adapt to the moods and eras of the times. Don't let your leadership style remain fixed in place. Law 16. The law of aggression. See the hostility behind the friendly facade. Human beings are not gentle, friendly beings who long for love, who merely defend themselves when they are attacked. The powerful desire for aggression must be recognized as part of their heritage. Sigmund Freud. On the surface, the people around you seem polite and civilized, but underneath the mask, we all have an aggressive side in our DNA. People have acted violently and aggressively in the past and now, but we don't like to think of ourselves as someone who can act in the same way. Human nature has been deeply misunderstood in this aspect. Our species is programmed for aggression, and it is in each of us. Aggression can be used for good. However, it can also lead to antisocial behavior and violence. While some individuals are clearly more aggressive than others, we are all capable of turning to the negative side of aggression. Human aggression is a continuum, and we all exist somewhere on it. The source of human aggression. Human aggression stems from an underlying insecurity, not just an impulse to hurt or take from others. Only humans can realize their own mortality. At any moment, we can lose our jobs or be separated from our partners, which can make us feel angry and helpless. People who are chronically aggressive, on the other hand, tend to experience this helplessness and irritation that we may feel over time. These individuals feel chronically insecure and fragile and try very hard to hide it by dominating and controlling others. If you are around a chronic aggressor, you must realize that this behavior stems from an underlying insecurity, a deep wound, almost always from early childhood. We must also realize that aggressors see others as objects to control. Two myths to dispel. The first myth claims that people once lived in harmony with nature and with each other. But anthropologists have proven beyond doubt that pre-war times were as violent and bloody as anything we are experiencing today. There was almost no peace between us. The second myth states that humans may have been mostly violent and aggressive in the past. But we have evolved since then to become more compassionate, enlightened, and guided by our better angels. However, the signs of human aggression remain the same as ever. Modern wars, genocide, and environmental degradation paint a different picture from this myth. Channel your aggressive energy. There are usually three main ways to spend aggressive energy. You can channel this energy into your work, controlled aggression. You can direct it at others through your behavior, passive aggression. It can also be directed inward in the form of self-hatred, which directs our anger and aggression at our own shortcomings. How do you usually deal with this energy? Observe how you react to irritation and uncertainty as a way of evaluating yourself. Do you tend to explode, get angry, and do things you regret? Or do you internalize your anger and become depressed? Passive aggression, its strategies and how to resist it. Our default setting is to avoid direct conflict, and it seems socially acceptable and polite. However, it's not always possible to get what we want without making an effort to express ourselves. This is called passive aggression. While passive aggression is sometimes necessary to prevent others from walking all over you, some people have a chronic problem with passive aggression. Here are some strategies that passive aggressors often use. Subtle superiority strategy. The person who is always late provides excuses and insincere apologies. Sympathy strategy. A person who acts as a victim but actually likes drama, pain, and attention. Doubtfulness strategy. Someone, maybe even a friend, makes an unintentional remark that makes you doubt yourself and your abilities. The main goal of these strategies is to make you feel bad about yourself so that you think about it for days. Their goal is to lower your self-esteem. The most common reason for their actions is envy. It is best to show that their hints do not affect you. Their goal is to get a reaction from you, and you do not give it. guilt-shifting strategy. A person who faces confrontation and immediately starts shifting responsibility and blame back to the person who is annoyed. They remain silent when you confront them, wear an expression of hurt or frustration, while their tone of voice subtly conveys a sense of incredulity, as if they have done nothing wrong. You are left with the feeling that you may have exaggerated, now feeling guilty. The intention is to cover up any unpleasant behavior, deflect criticism, and make people refrain from calling them out on their mistakes in the future. This tactic can be countered by remaining objective and disinterested in their blame-shifting, passive tyrant strategy, the person who is impossible to please. Usually, powerful people use this strategy towards their subordinates, but it can also be used by people in relationships. It is very difficult to resist these types because they are usually your bosses and have real power over you. The only countermeasure is to quit and recover. Controlled aggression. Your aggression should not be suppressed or directed inward. Channel this energy into real problems that you can solve. Toward your ambition to get what you want. Law 17. The law of generational myopia. Seize the historical moment. You are as much a product of time as anyone else. The generation you were born into has shaped your thoughts and values, whether you realize it or not. In more ways than you can imagine, you were born into a generation that defines your identity. There is a strong desire in your generation to separate from the previous generation and open a new direction for the world. New values are formed that are absorbed into your thinking as an individual. As you age, generational ideas and values tend to close you off from other points of view, limiting your thinking. To free yourself from the mental limitations that your generation places on you, you must understand as deeply as possible this powerful influence on who you are. The generation phenomenon. Each generation has its own symbols, myths, beliefs, and mentality that constitute its generational spirit. A person born in the 1890s would be different from someone born in the 1950s, and a person born in the 1950s would have a different generational spirit from someone born in the 1990s, and so on. Generational patterns. Each generation inherits beliefs and ideas from its parents, but strives to find something new. The 14th century historian Ibn Khaldun believed that history happens in cycles of 4 generations. New revolutionaries are now ready to introduce a new order, and the cycle begins again. You need to change the way you look at your own generation. You should try to understand how deeply the spirit and culture of your generation has influenced your view of the world. Identify the characteristics of your generation in order to understand its spirit in the present and to tap into it. Think about where your generation fits into the tension between early and middle adulthood. We think we are judging the younger generation objectively, but we are simply succumbing to the illusion of perspective. How to use the spirit of the times. The following strategies will help you make the most of generational dynamics. Law 18. The law of death denial. Reflections on our shared mortality. By connecting with the reality of death, we connect more deeply with the reality and fullness of life. Being close to death actually has the paradoxical effect of making us feel more alive and awake. You can make your life more meaningful and productive by being aware of your mortality. Become visually aware of death. Take a moment to reflect on death. Imagine yourself at the moment of death and try to visualize what you are doing or where you might be at that time. Remember that your remaining years on this planet are a time limit to complete some life project. While you still have time, work on what matters most to you, including your relationships and your goals. Observe mortality. Think about the billions of people who have lived before you and realize that most people on Earth today will not be alive for the next 60 years. We are all part of the brotherhood and sisterhood of death. Embracing death will make it easier to cope with all the other pains and difficulties in your life. Adversity is an opportunity for growth and enlightenment. Take time to reflect on the subliminal. The immensity of time and space makes our daily struggles seem insignificant. Being in contact with the majesty of nature makes our ego seem insignificant. Realizing your mortality will free you from insignificant worries, allow you to focus exclusively on your life's work, and help you explore every possibility to the end. Deny your past, including your parents' values, and try to see things from a different perspective. Embrace the spirit of your generation in a unique way. Don't let your age limit your curiosity. You can be childlike and fascinated as an adult. Increase your interactions with the younger generation. Read the works of previous generations. Influence the younger generation, mainly your children, to shape the future. First generation. Revolutionaries make a radical break to establish new values. Second generation seeks to establish some order and discipline after the revolutionary chaos. Third generation seeks to build a comfortable life through practical means. The fourth generation, cynical and lost in a society that has stagnated.